Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the Molus G300 cob light from Zhiyun. I was lucky enough for them to send it over a couple of weeks ago, and I've kind of been using it on a lot of projects, but haven't really found the time to film any BTS of me actually using it. But I've been using the light and having a really good experience with it so far. So let's dig in. Right now I'm using it as my key light, and I've been using it as my key for a lot of my projects, mainly because it is a 300 watt light and my only other light is a 60X. So we'll dig into some of the technical stuff. I've got my notes here, but I'll try to rattle off things as I go. It's about a quarter of the size of a normal studio light. Most studio lights have kind of an elongated head, which means that they're required to be balanced, whereas this is kind of a thin LED headpiece, and it's 60% of the weight of a traditional light of equivalent power. It comes in two sections, so we've got the actual LED head unit as well as a ballast that can sit further down the light stand or C-stand, both of which are actually actively cooled by a large fan that almost fits the whole circumference of the light itself, meaning that this thing is not going to get too hot. Speaking of power usage, it's a 300 watt light, but you can actually overclock it to 500 watts with a reduction in the spectrum of the bicolor. Normal mode hits about 15,000 lux, while overclocked mode can hit almost 20,000 lux. I'm using it with a 90 centimeter parabolic softbox. This one was also sent to me from Zhiyun, and I've been really enjoying the quality of light, but also the spread of light, having a larger softbox than I've actually previously worked with, especially for my kind of talking to head pieces. As you can see on my face right here, it's got a nice sheen with a very even distribution, and I'm really impressed with the high quality of the actual diffusion material inside the light. The light mechanism to set up the softbox is just like a simple locking pin mechanism where you have to do every arm individually. However, I much prefer this to the softboxes that you need to push down that have the central locking pin. I've cut myself on those like more than enough times to count, and I just think it's a safer option, specifically when I'm working with assistants or running workshops where people might not have as much experience in the studio. The light's got 14 different modes, things like candles, paparazzi, SOS, CCT loop, CCT pulse, flash, music, explosion, welding, and so many more. These are really good, especially now that I'm transitioning to shooting a lot more commercial video. I wouldn't use these features as often for weddings or things like that, or corporate interviews, or even YouTube like I am right now, but these features will be really useful when I start doing narrative pieces and or a lot more commercial work. The best test I've done so far is I used it as my key light at a Sony event. So we were doing a touch and try for the Alpha 7 IV, and we had about 10 people in a pretty small studio, so having a smaller lighting setup was kind of ideal, and it was just a hands-on with the camera itself, but it was a really good opportunity for me to test this light and then also get some images using it as well. We ran it at 100% for 4 hours, and that wasn't really meant to be an overheating test, but it was good to just be able to leave it and set it and forget while we just shot as we needed. One small feature did stand out to me quite a lot, and that's the fact that the moment the power is connected, the light automatically turns on or just has a very low latency or boot up time. This is pretty good, especially when you're working in a high-paced environment rather than fiddling with dials and knobs and kind of waiting for a light to turn on. Some of those big ballast units from other manufacturers really have a long boot up time, and it's just refreshing to work with something that's really responsive. You can control the light from an app, however, I didn't set that up and I haven't actually used that feature yet, but when I work with a couple of gaffers, specifically my friend Elder from Gearhouse, he just runs everything off an iPad using Sidus Link, so that's the one for some of the competitors, but he's using that and it's all just run through an iPad, so this kind of Wi-Fi or at least app integration is really good to see. I know every light kind of has that now, but it's just a feature that I know I will use a lot more in the future. Lastly, I know I talked about the weight earlier, it's about 60% of the weight of a normal studio light, but I don't think people understand like how good that actually is. It's small, it's light, it's compact, it actually fits in a Pelican. I've already custom cut my Pelican down to my right. I've got about 5 Pelicans at home these days, but I've already custom cut a foam Pelican for it, in which case I can fit both the ballast, the LED head, the reflector, and all the power cabling, and it just fits in a nice neat little roller bag, meaning that I can take this light with me anywhere. I've already used it in some locations where you wouldn't really be able to carry a traditional light stand and a bigger lighting unit, especially for a 300 watt. In summary, I'm really excited to add this lighting fixture as a permanent piece in my kit. I've been using it a ton already and just haven't managed to get any BTS of it, but I'm loving the light. It's plenty powerful. It's almost powerful enough to overpower the sun, but it's definitely powerful enough for small locations and or just introducing a lot of light through a window, which at the moment is kind of my main use case. And just to wrap up, I'm learning a lot more about lighting. I've been on a few amazing sets with some very talented gaffers like my friend Elder, and I'm learning a lot about lighting, not just from a creative sense, but also about, you know, the actual technical aspects of, you know, what makes a great light, what makes it useful, what makes it color accurate and things like that. And I'm really paying attention to a lot more of this information. And so I'm really happy to have a larger lighting fixture to add to my kit to help me on that journey.